Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of the Koop'd podcast. The podcast that is a Stark and oddly saying the name Cersei very lovingly. Strange. As always, folks, my name is Koopa, and each week I sit down with one of my friends. We talk about all the happenings of pop culture across things related to, but not just to, comic books, TV, video games, and everything kind of in between. So, as always, like I said, my name's Koopa. And this week's guest is one of my longest-running friends. They are a new guest on the show this week, ladies and gentlemen. One of my longest-running companions in the video games game. Please welcome my good friend Kara Bowdit. Hi, Haley. How are you?
Hey, I'm pretty good. That is me, Kara Bowdit.
Yeah. So, like, again, I have to point out, as I do in every one of my shows, like most of the guests I have on my show, we cross paths via the Super Smash Brothers community, and that was almost like 6 years ago. We've been friends for a long time.
It must have been Start of Smash 4, which freaks me out how long ago that was. Like, that was like 2014.
That's
the 3DS
7 years
was
ago.
Hot. The 3DS was still like smoking.
Yeah, it was still popular. It had a one Pokemon game on it. That was a big old deal back then. But yeah, we have since moved on to greener pastures, kind of sorta. I'm still trapped in this. I'm still trapped in this universe. Much like some of, I guess, the people we're gonna be talking about via Marvel. But Haley, do you want to tell the people what your what's your stamp on the internet? What's your footprint on the internet like nowadays?
What's my footprint? Well, so I used to stream a lot. I kind of took a step back from competitive gaming space as a whole because I decided that it was time to get my life together.
I feel that.
And I kind of gave up on like the streaming, the competitive Smash, and everything like that for a while. I'm kind of back now because everything's kind of sorted out. I'm more focusing on music. I picked up guitar at the start of the plague, and I'm like in a band now. I can't shill it because we don't have a name yet. But soon, expect the shilling of the band to start soon. I'm back to streaming sometimes. Twitch.tv/care about it. Like I stream once in a while for fun.
And I'll put all of that in the fun description below. Listen, have you thought about going to red jumpsuit apparatus, way, and just kind of picking names and adjectives out of a bag and throwing it against the wall?
We have workshopped so many names. Everything from like wholesome shit like Marigold Way to like really, really just toxic shit post stuff like Girl Bossa Raptor. Like we have workshopped so many names.
That is so funny. Marigold Lane is so like wholesome, like Northeast pop punk. It's just like they all wear crew necks and think about how they like hate their hometown. Like, but
then Girl Bossa Raptor, like I don't know what that band is doing, and I'm threatened, but I'm gonna stick around.
Everybody wears fishnets.
The guitars also wear fishnets.
Oh my! I love that. I would sign up for that show in a heartbeat. But yeah, listen, obviously our friendship was forged in the fiery furnace of video games, and like most people of around the same age, you're only a couple years older than I am. We hang out a lot. We went to a lot of tournaments together, and you learn that people have we have similar interests, and you are someone who, like myself, is a nerd amongst all things comic books and other things. I couldn't have thought of a better person to talk about the latest installment in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the 26th film in the MCU, The Eternals.
Is it 26 or is it? Oh my god!
That's the 26th film. Crazy.
Is it really 26? Wow.
It's
listen,
weird, right?
You want MCU opinions? You've come to the right place. I've done an MCU rewatch every year since the plague started. Like I have big opinions.
Yeah, I also did an MCU rewatch during the plague. My girlfriend is famously like way less of a nerd than I am. I say famously as if people know that. It's just something that it's a thing that I've pointed out and known in our relationship. But we during the peak of the plague, both of us were laid off from our jobs. And I've spoken wax poetically about how much I love the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The Infinity Saga is truly nothing will ever capture that magic again. Being able to set up a story that grand across 20, I guess what 23 films. Yeah, because the 3 have come out since things have started back up again.
Yeah, so. I mean, I talk about it like it's our generation Star Wars. Like in the 70s, they did Star Wars, and that was a big deal.
Yeah.
And now we got this, and I honestly am going to say I think it's a little better, but that's just my take.
I feel that. But yeah, so we did a whole rewatch. There's been a bunch of movies my girlfriend hadn't seen, so like I had the pleasure of, walking her through the Infinity Saga and, watching her reaction amongst a lot of the really messed up stuff. And listen, it's been a hot week for Marvel, since as we've been putting this off for a couple of days because our schedules haven't matched up.
Yeah,
but
we have lives.
all for the better, because we got a lot of cool stuff out of Marvel's camp the last couple of weeks. Again, I'm an unapologetic Marvel shill. What Marvel and Disney have done is great. We got obviously that sizzle reel of all these great shows that are coming out, including Agatha House of Harkness, which is going to be great.
I can't believe they gave her a show. Like, good for her.
Yeah, listen, Catherine Hahn was great. And
she was a great part. I'm just like, what are they going to do with her?
She's just going to go, is it like, I don't know, spooky, like Halloween sitcom stuff? Like
Maybe
that'd be fun. But also, obviously we have that to look forward to. We got a first look at She-Hulk, which is going to be dope. She-Hulk in the comics is one of my favorite heroines in Marvel Comics.
Yeah, that one I'm super excited for, because I think like we're overdue for just a lawyer. Like
True.
Imagine if we just had a lawyer to talk to the TVA,
Your Honor, my client is simply insane.
He's going through his Loki arc.
Yeah, he's going through it. He's going through his Loki arc. But listen, we got a lot of that cool stuff to obviously look forward to. We got first looks at Moon Knight and like a small glimpse at what Secret Invasion is going to be. Hawkeye starts next week. I think it does actually come out on. It comes out on Wednesday, I think. It comes out on the 24th. So that's going to be dope. Again, I love a good. The comic that they're basing the show off of is like a really fun Hawkeye comic. He basically fights a bunch of dudes in sweatsuits, which is a lot of fun.
Oh, and they all say bro? Aren't they like Russian mobsters? Yeah, they all say bro.
Yeah, there's a sweatsuit mafia. That's a great run of Hawkeye comics. So that's gonna be fun. That's just more Young Avengers seed being planted. Also a Spider-Man trailer dropped this week. I don't know if you guys saw that.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody took the time.
How many times did you watch the trailer in the first hour? I watched it like 6.
I went through it twice in the first hour, and I was like, okay, new rock stars within 20 minutes. We'll have a video, so I'll just wait for them.
Exactly. I went through all my favorite reactors, and listen, that movie is going to that movie's going to change lives. And obviously, spoiler alert, the trailer was awesome. And again, let me before we get into the actual review of the movie, I want to talk about this just in general. Do you feel like some of the magic of Spider-Man might be lost, considering how much of this movie's been an awfully kept secret?
I do. I was gonna say, I think that the trailer we had before this one was everything I needed to know. It was everything I needed to know to go to the movie. And I think that this trailer might have been a step over the line. Like, the whole, you're not Peter Parker line. Like, okay, well, thanks for ruining that for me. Like,
yeah.
It did the Sony trailer thing where it was like a lot of the movie was in this trailer. And the thing that they think is going to be the surprise, unfortunately, we all have the internet and it's not a surprise. Yeah,
I feel kind of that way. I do feel like, again, I'm a glutton for punishment. I know I'm going to see this at some point, so I'm not going to go out of my way to not avoid it, because like I said, a lot of this movie has been a terribly kept secret. We've known for a long time that Benedict Cumberbatch is going to be in the movie, and then I think Jamie Foxx was the first kind of out of left field one to sign on.
Yeah,
they're just they're doing Electro, they're just going to bring Jamie Foxx back in. That's cool. And then you find out that Alfred Molina signs on to the film, and they're just like, wait a second, what are they doing here? And then, the seeds start falling. And listen, by the way, if you've gotten this far, we're going to be spoiling the Spider-Man trailer if you haven't seen it yet. I think we all know what this is setting up for, and that we are eventually going to see, multiple Spider-Men on the screen. And listen,
multiple Spider-Men.
Yeah, multiple Spider-Men. And listen, I get it. Is it going to make me any less excited when I actually see it? Not at all. I'm going to bawl like a baby. It's just one of those things. Yeah.
It's the same thing as with Endgame. I think we all saw time travel coming with Endgame. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's not so much about the what, but it's about the how. And I do still have faith that the movie, even though we know that the what is a bunch of different Spider-Verses are clashing together, the why and the how could be really fun. I think there's still some unanswered stuff like why is Steven acting so sus? Why is he Dr. Sus?
Dare I say, why is he acting so strange?
Why is he acting strange? How do you still expect me to believe that Tom Holland is a teenager? That's one thing I'd love to know.
Okay, listen, I'm gonna put it to you this way, because I did think about that as well. I think Tom Holland's like 23.
He is not 18, but they're playing it. I mean, they're shooting him from real
25.
high angles.
But let me put it to you this way. So I actually didn't know he was this old. I thought he was a little bit younger than this. Tobey Maguire was like 27 when he signed on to do Spider-Man, and Andrew Garfield was like 29.
That was the time. The time, like when what was it? Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies were coming out. Like that was just what you did. You cast 30-year-old Paul Rudd as a high school student. You just did that. Like it was normal.
It's true. But listen, if this is where the movies are going to go, I don't think it's any surprise that it's not. I am glad that they're making us wait for it. You know what I mean? I will gladly be blue-balled till the end of time by Marvel Studios because the payoff is going to be worth it. I admittedly was a little deflated when they showed Spider-Man in the trailer for Civil War because I love Spider-Man. Spider-Man is my guy. He's my favorite superhero of all time. And I felt a little cheated. Just like, man, this would have been such a cool reveal where you see Queens pan up on the screen and then you're just like, whoa, what's going on here? Why is Aunt May hot? What? Like, this is crazy. So, but you know what? The payoff is still going to be worth it. I'm going to weep uncontrollably when eventually all of the Spider-Men eventually, join up on my screen.
Did you see Venom 2? Did you see Venom 2?
I did.
Okay, so do you have like a real quick take on Venom 2? And then do you expect the post-credit scene to matter in Spider-Man?
I thought Venom 2 was meh. I liked the first Venom better. I thought the second movie was kind of a mess, personally.
Second movie was like it was in a rush to get it over with. That's what I felt like.
Yeah. It was just like, whatever. But the post-credit scene was great. I do think that whatever happens with this step-parent relationship between Marvel and Sony in regards to Spider-Man, I hope that it does have a happy ending at the end of it.
Yeah.
Spoiler for the Venom 2 post-credit scene, by the way. We do know that Venom does, show up. I think I guess maybe that's what the Strange means by they're all coming and I can't stop it. They're all coming through and I can't stop them this time. So that probably means that what if Morbius shows up? What if we know there's a Kraven movie coming from Sony?
Is there?
Yeah. Played by who's the guy that played Quicksilver in the MCU film? Aaron Taylor Johnson?
Evan Peters?
No. It was Aaron Taylor. It was Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Dead Quicksilver, right?
Dead Quicksilver, yes.
Okay.
And Evan Peters as Kraven would be kind of sick, or Keanu Reeves. But yeah, he will portray. They announced that he will be portraying Kraven the Hunter in this 2023 standalone Sony Spider-Man universe film.
I'm not sure how I feel about the Sony stuff. I think that they just sucked Venom out of the universe. He was the dude I liked, and Morbius is not inspiring confidence.
I don't know, man. If they do Kraven's Last Stand well, because I know that damn well that's the comic they're gonna reference in the movie, I'll be fine. That's one of my favorite comics of all time. So,
okay.
But yeah, I'm excited about that. My guess is I don't expect the post-credit scene from Venom to affect this movie too much, unless they really want to go the whole Sinister Six route, because then Venom makes a six.
They're about to. I think
they're about to. Yeah.
We got Mr. Octopus.
Yes.
We got the Goblin. We got Sandman, Electro, Lizard. We're missing
That's
one
5.
dude. We're missing one dude.
I mean, if they want to go classic Sinister Six, then I guess you throw maybe Michael Keaton shows up in a movie as Vulture.
He breaks out of prison and all his character development is gone. He's like, I'm mad again.
I'm angry. I'm a bird again. But,
I miss my daughter now. That's my new character thing.
I was a bird, and then I was a bat, now I'm a bird again. But I think, if anything, you'll see Venom set up in a post-credit scene, probably in this movie, where
I agree.
I think I have 2 guesses for what they're going to try to set up in this film. They're going to either show Venom again, or they're going to show that the Avengers Tower is bought out by whatever science people, the
Oscorp or
the Fantastic Four.
Yeah, make it the Baxter Building.
Yeah, that's what it is. So, but
I think that's happening.
I think so too. I think because the John Watts connection is too strong. I think they'll show, they'll make some reference to Reed Richards or someone in the next film. But hey, Yeah, what do I know? I don't work for Marvel. I just talk about it. But
Why else would they downplay Kamala's hand embiggening powers? Like now her power is that she makes Green Lantern fist. Like I think that they're just saving Big Hand for Mr. Fantastic.
It makes sense. I'm into it. But listen, tickets for Spider-Man go on sale in 2 weeks, I think. They go, yeah, 2 weeks. November 29th. Spider Monday, folks. So have fun with your servers crashing, because this movie is I think is truly gonna it's gonna smash box office records. I think it might actually I think it's gonna break Endgame's record. I'm willing to bet that.
I feel like there's a solid shot. I feel like once we get confirmation that it's a multi Spider-Man endeavor, I think we might see that happen.
Yeah, I think it's going to happen at some point. So, nonetheless, though, we're not here to talk about Spider-Man anymore.
That's true.
At least not for another month. We are here to talk once again, about the 26th film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, The Eternals, directed by Chloe Zhao, based on The Eternals, by Jack Kirby, and it stars some of your favorites, such as Gemma Chan, Richard Madden, Kamal Nanjiani, Leah McHugh, Brian Tyree Henry, Lauren Ridloff, Barry Keoghan, Don Lee, Harish Patel, Kit Harington, Salma Hayek, and Angelina Jolie. Have you heard of her?
Angelina Jolie is in this movie, all right. She sure is.
Now, I'll give you a quick synopsis of the film in case you haven't seen it yet. In the film, the Eternals, an immortal alien race, emerge from hiding after thousands of years to protect Earth from their ancient counterparts, the Deviants. So, I'll ask you first, Haley. We're gonna do a non-spoiler sequitur of our quick thoughts of the movie. And then we're going to dive into the fun stuff. So what were your non-spoiler thoughts? What was your tweet-length review of The Eternals?
I think I did make a tweet-length review, and I think it was just that this movie was 2 hours and 37 minutes, and I don't feel that it needed to be that long. I think that there was a lot going on. There were a lot of new characters being introduced, and because of that, most of them didn't get enough screen time. Most of their arcs were not great. And there was I would just make cuts across the board. I'd be in there making cuts personally.
I feel that. I share a lot of those similar thoughts with this movie. Now, this movie is getting destroyed on Rotten Tomatoes. It's got a 56% critic score. I think the audience score. Let me actually double check this. I should have looked.
It's not good. It's not pretty.
It's Rotten Tomatoes Eternals. Let's pull it up here. 47% by the critics and an audience score of 80. Not great, not awful. My thoughts on it echo a lot of the same things. I saw this word used a lot in reviews, and I agree. It's a dense movie.
Yeah, very dense.
I tweeted after the movie, it's a dense it's a real moist piece of chocolate cake.
Yeah.
The parts that are good are really, really good. But eventually you hit a wall, and it's just like, oh man, you start sweating. It's not good. It doesn't always end well, but it's still enjoyable enough in parts where you can really savor those sweet parts.
That ending, I have a whole note.
Yeah, there's a lot here, but I will say, off the cuff, non-spoiler, come on down, Johnny steals the show for me. I think he's the best part of this movie, personally. He's my favorite character.
Was he film. Icarus?
He was, oh god, what's his name? I have to look this up.
Oh, Kingo?
Kingo, yeah.
Kingo was fun. Yeah, Kingo was a fun character.
Yeah, Kingo was a lot of fun. I think Gemma Chan was awesome too. Again, like I alluded to in the front, you got multiple Starks here and Jon Snow from Game of Thrones. And hearing them say the name Cersei so lovingly is hilarious. So I thought that was great. But I think, and I do agree that some of this cast does get kind of lost. I don't love everybody in this movie, but I love Kingo. Come on down, Johnny is awesome. Phastos is awesome. I think Phastos is a great character.
I liked Phastos a lot, obviously.
Yeah, as well. Yeah. And I feel kind of cheated. I love Salma Hayek. She is she's a beautiful woman who I adore her work. I feel like I got kind of cheated out of not enough Salma Hayek in this movie. And I thought Angelina, she was Ajax.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, and then Athena, played by Angelina Jolie. Listen, I was afraid when they cast Angelina Jolie that she might be bigger than the movie because she's Angelina Jolie. I think in regards to modern performances, like within the last however many years, I think this is one of Angelina Jolie's best performances. I thought she was great, personally.
I mean, I guess I can agree with you because she played the role that they gave her really well. I guess my problem is with the role. I guess that's what it comes down to. It's not with her, it's with the role.
That's valid. But I guess we can now dive into spoiler territory. So this is your last warning, folks. Just letting you know at home. We're going to dive into deep spoiler territory with this film to truly get the crunch on it. So this is your last warning. So where do you want to start?
All right, let's see. So I have a notepad. Let's start with like the things that I liked about it because I don't want to be like the
Yeah.
I don't want to be like the immediate negative.
Let's go.
Dude, I loved Makari. I thought she was so cool. I thought she was like every scene where she got where she got to use her speed was so much better done than I've seen a speedster done in the MCU so far.
Yes,
like
I agree.
At the end, when we're like, oh man, no, there's nobody who can fight Icarus, and Makari's just like, actually.
Hold my beer.
Actually, I'm gonna solo Icarus for like what felt like an hour.
Just gonna solo queue him.
She was fine. She was toe to toe with Marvel Superman. It was great. I loved her.
No, I thought she was great. And again, I think it's a great inclusion of the first deaf superhero in Marvel Comics.
Absolutely.
I listened to a podcast review that was funny where she does the sign for time and she like taps on her wrist and it's just like we're in Mesopotamia, watches aren't invented for another 2,000 years, but go off. It's fine. But I thought I agree. I thought she was great. I think the speedster effect can get kind of mucky in modern films. Again, I thought when they did it with Quicksilver in Age of Ultron, it was fine. It still wasn't great. When they do it anytime with the Flash and like the DCU stuff, I'm just like, ugh, it just looks so muddily and gross. And it's just like, I do like that they utilize it more than just like, oh, she runs fast. Like Makari runs fast, but she's a lot more than that. And I love that. And I love her relationship with Druig. And Druig, great villain sleight of hand because they set him up to be the big bad in this movie.
They did. They sure did.
Multiple times. So,
yes.
But I thought, I thought Barry Keoghan was great. I think I saw him in Dunkirk and I thought he was really good. He was in that film. And the thing about this movie that was interesting is how they're still able to like, I agree with you that like I feel like a lot of these characters could have been kind of cut out and you can kind of focus on these characters in maybe a later Eternals film. But the one that I feel like the least any sort of attachment to is Sprite. I was not a fan of Sprite.
Yeah. Okay, so I have two follow-ups for you.
Yes.
One with Druig, I feel like Druig has overnight become like not a Tumblr sexy man, but like he has that energy of like everyone's like, oh, I'm so jealous of what Makari and Druig have, and I'm like, he literally ran a cult in the rainforest where he controlled every follower's mind meticulously to enforce peace. But go off about that ideal relationship.
You know what? What Druig reminded me of that instance? He reminds me of like he's like Degrassi bad boy hot on
yes,
Tumblr.
But like he's also like, am I just not into like that kind of man? Maybe, but like he looks to me like he has a very punchable face and like
yes,
like
100%.
He felt like a character out of The Social Network. Like that was to me what. I don't know.
He's a Winklevoss twin.
Everyone's losing their minds over Druig, and I'm just like, Makari is so much better than this. He's just some dude who ran a cult, by the way. Yeah,
I agree. And also, Icarus is right there. And I think we have to talk about Richard Madden. Richard Madden, obviously, is the second banana in this movie. He is, again, Marvel Comics Superman.
Yes.
He can fly, he can shoot energy out of his eyes. He is dashingly handsome the entire movie. And also...
Sprite.
Man, that was weird.
Listen, back to your point about not liking Sprite. Huge, bro, she's 7,000 years old, so it's technically not a kid vibes. Gigantic vibes from that. Like, oh, so uncomfortable.
Yeah, that made me incredibly uncomfortable, especially when they start doing like the Robin Hood and Peter.
Yeah.
And like the Robin Hood, the Peter Pan and Tinkerbell comparison.
Yeah.
Like, ugh, like this feels so gross. Like I get it.
You could have made her an adult, and it probably wouldn't have changed anything. You could do Unrequited Love with two adults, absolutely. It just felt like it had the energy of like the 1,000-year-old Lily. Like it was
Yeah,
the anime trope.
I did not like it. It's even like not even just that. Like you could have made her like because everybody in this movie is probably like what they probably project them to be like 30 years old, and they're like literally to mid 30s. You could have made her like 20 years old or something.
You
like,
could have.
It's I don't know. I think that I get you want comic book accuracy. I get it, but it's just like ugh. They've taken so many liberties with other stuff in the comics. I don't understand why they couldn't have just like done something else with that. It felt very gross. But outside of that,
Superman takes.
Yeah, but I loved it. Now I don't know much about the Eternals. The Eternals is kind of a blind spot in my realm in Marvel Comics. I do know, however, that Icarus is not a bad guy in the comics, and they make Icarus the bad guy in this movie.
I loved it. Actually, I liked it. I know you were supposed to see it coming. Like I went to see it with a friend, and my friend was like, "Oh, I saw it coming a mile away." I didn't somehow. I don't know why. I didn't see it coming.
I felt betrayed. I definitely felt betrayed.
Same, and that was good. That was pulled off really well. I think you do actually feel betrayed.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I'm reading in the Wikipedia page that Chloe Zhao took a lot of influence from Zack Snyder's interpretation of Superman and Man of Steel. And again, that's littered throughout the movie. There's a lot of reference to like DC Comics.
Fastest Kid.
Yeah. I'm just like, wait, what? Like, so it's one of those things. Just like, so like, do DC Comics just exist in Marvel Comics, but like as comics? Like, yeah. That's strange, to say the least.
We know that Captain America comics exist, right?
Yes.
And we know that he like had his line of comics. So I guess in the world of the MCU, DC was just an attempt to be like, let's just do that, but make them up.
That is so weird to me. I hope they like reference back on that like 10 years in the future when they do Marvel vs. DC finally. Yeah. Yeah, I thought that was great. And I do like that it was a little on the nose with like, I have lost the battle. I will now go fly into the sun.
Hold on. What was that? So are we just going to jump right to how much I hate the ending of this movie? Because I feel like we just did.
Yeah, I feel like we should. So obviously there's a big point of contention. There's the relationship between Gemma Chan and Richard Madden's character Cersei and Icarus. It's the first time you ever see a bone fest on screen in a Marvel movie.
I never want to hear about, it's the first gay kiss. It was such an uncomfortable gay kiss for me. I had to watch straight sex, and it wasn't even like good. It was uncomfortable for like everybody.
It was PG-13 like straight sex, like not even like not a single.
We have one gay kiss. If you get to full on bone on screen and be like, "Oh, I love you, Cersei." If you get to slip out the what the pussy does to a man, "I love you." You get to slip that out. I get one gay kiss, absolutely.
Just banging in the sand, like. Don't they know that? Have they not seen Star Wars? Don't they know that sand is coarse and it gets everywhere? Like. It's terrible. That made for a great like bait article though. It's just like finally they brought what the MCU has been missing: sex. It was very funny, but
I didn't know about it going in. I had not heard about that, so I was blindsided. And frankly, I considered a suit afterward.
It's pretty fucked up that they just do that to you. But yeah, so obviously, there's a big talk obviously between Cersei and Icarus as their relationship, when they eventually when basically what happens as a kind of a catch up before we get to the ending, the Eternals are brought to planet Earth to fight the Deviants, which are these like weird alien dog things that are like
made of noodles.
Yeah, they were like, were they like created by like by the Celestials?
Yes, so the Celestials created the Deviants so that they could send the Deviants down to planets to take out the apex predators so that intelligent life, instead of like just really beefy and like killy life, could flourish. And if intelligent life flourished in great enough numbers, they could use it to like nourish baby Celestials inside the planet. So the Deviants were meant to facilitate that, but because they're organic, they like evolved past the control of the Celestials and became a big problem. So the Celestials were like, okay, not doing that again. Our next dudes are robots, and they're like really, really strong. They just god modded, and they're gonna go kill the Deviants because we said so. Yeah,
that pretty much sums it up. Again, it's a very dense movie. It's definitely a watch it twice before you can figure out what's going on film. But yeah, that's a big plot point. So the Eternals are sent to Earth to take care of the Deviants, and they're doing this for thousands of years, and eventually they kill all the Deviants. So then they're just like, all right, we're going to break up the band. Angelina Jolie's got, hay fever or whatever they called it, like
Dementia. She's just got
mad
dementia.
weary is what they called it in the film.
Mad weary, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, she went mad. So they eventually split everybody up, and then lo and behold, the deviants come back, and then you got to get the band back together. So it becomes a buddy cop film at that point. But when you are introduced to Cersei and Icarus, they're definitely in love with each other. They're hot and heavy for thousands of years over each other. But then when you meet up with them again in real life, you now see that Cersei is now dating Dane, Mr. Dane Whitman, played by Kit Harington. So that obviously leads to like a weird, point of contention for a while. And there's a lot of like, will they, won't they sort of stuff happening. And then, eventually I guess Cersei, does Cersei just like cheat on her boyfriend in this movie? Is that established?
I think the weird sex scene happened in the past was the thing. That was right. A flashback. So I think that happened before Mr. Whitman.
That tracks, yeah. But I feel, because I know they do that like hand-holding thing in the desert, like right before you find out that, or I think it's right after you find out what really happened to Ajax.
Was that Cersei trying to be like, you are not evil Superman, you're just regular Superman, and like appeal to him? But I don't know. I guess you're right. I guess maybe she did do a little bit of unfaith.
Yeah, so there's a lot of will they, won't they throughout this movie, and then you eventually find out the big plot twist, where Ajax, the original leader of I think they're called the Prime Eternals,
yes,
which is like the leader. Yeah, she's the Prime Eternal of the group. She dies before everybody's able to get back together. So then, not only are they trying to get all the Eternals back together, they're trying to find out. They're trying to avenge the death of their leader. And then you find out that she wasn't actually killed by a deviant; she was killed by Richard Madden, because you inevitably learn that the Eternals are not just there to destroy the deviants; they're there to, I guess,
facilitate the emergence.
Yeah, facilitate the emergence of a new Celestial after the population reaches a certain point. So. Yeah. Basically Earth is a ticking time bomb filled with a big scary monster thing,
and it always has been, because we say so now.
It's true, it's just there. So that was definitely something. Again, there's a lot to chew on in this movie. So then inevitably what a lot of the movie becomes is everybody trying to figure out, hey, is there a way we can like stop the emergence from happening? And then it comes to conflict of like, oh well, some of them don't want to do it because it's our job, it's our thing. Think of the lives that we're gonna billions of lives we're gonna lose out on if we don't let the Celestial be born. And then you get the Eternals who are kind of domesticated and they're just like, yeah, but like I got shit I gotta do. I got a fucking family, bro.
Oh my god, hold on, I'm forming a new take. Was this movie half an abortion allegory?
Whoa.
Oh no!
Yo, that's crazy.
Or is it really about oh wow! It's really about choosing like a life that already exists over a hypothetical life. It's oh my god! It's an abortion allegory.
Wow, that's deep. Well played, Chloe Zhao. I guess ? Asterisk. But eventually this is all what kind of leads up to the movie final battle, where they eventually find out where the emergence is happening, and then. The remaining Eternals try to stop it, where Superman, aka Icarus, tries to stop them from stopping the emergence, and then eventually they come up with the idea. It's like, hey, what if we all put our brains together,
the Unimind,
and what if we all become not free thinkers and join the monolith and become the thing that stops the emergence from happening? Because earlier in the film you get you get introduced to the fact that Cersei can, I guess, turn things into nature just by
transmutes. She transmutes things.
Yeah, she transmuted a deviant into a tree, and then Fast was like, wait, what? You can do that? So eventually there's a device that gets built that that can join everybody's powers into the Unimind, and with the power of the Unimind, they're able to stop the Celestial from emerging from the planet and then turn it into a giant rock. And then the ending happens. You want to talk about that?
So two things. Can I go on a small tangent before?
Go for it. Go right ahead.
So Absolutely. During that big plot recap, I would love to point out that you completely ignored the subplot where there is a big deviant and he's really big, and what he does is that he's really big and he can like kill Eternals and take their power. and then he becomes like humanoid and has a moment with Thena, who just is an absolute downer. And Thena's like, I'm crazy, but I'm not crazy because you told me not to be. And then the guy whose power she stole. Anyway, cut that entire subplot. You just went through the whole movie without even remembering it exists, right? So cut the whole subplot out. He just shows up to get cut up at the end. Like, it was so unnecessary. That's one of my big cuts.
That B plot was strange.
It was not necessary.
Yeah, I think that's my biggest problem with this movie in general, is that so much of it just doesn't need to be there.
Yeah, I agree. I think one of my friends said it best. They were like, Falcon and the Winter Soldier should have been a movie, and this should have been a Disney Plus show.
Yes, I agree 100%. Because I think, again, the biggest problem you've mentioned is that not everybody feels fleshed out in this movie. You know, certain people, like, who I really liked, like, I thought Gilgamesh was a great character.
Me too.
For
I loved him.
There. I thought he was awesome. I think you mentioned characters like Makari and Fastos and what they're doing this whole time. You get to spend so little time with these people, it stinks. Especially with Gilgamesh, because he dies. So
yeah, he was so fucking cool, and they just killed him.
Yeah, and he keeps Angelina Jolie like in check. He's just a very supportive, you know, what's the word I'm looking for?
They did platonic love.
There we go. Yeah, that one. Platonic. They're just keeping his crazy platonic friend in check.
Yeah.
And that was cool.
That it wasn't a romance subplot. I loved that.
Yeah, I thought that was great. They're not trying to shoehorn it after we already watched two people have sex on screen once. Not trying to watch it again. But it's again, this could have done so well as like a 8-episode Disney Plus show. And Falcon and the Winter Soldier would have been great as a movie. So
yeah, I agree. Absolutely. I think anyway, so moving on from my big grip about the big deviant who was really big, and that was his thing.
Yes.
The ending. So here's in the ending, Cersei realizes that she is actually hella strong, and she can turn really, really big and organic things into whatever she wants. And so she's like, I'm gonna turn the baby Eternal that's gonna hatch into marble. Which, I mean, solid plan. And she starts doing it. Well, meanwhile, everybody else is fighting Icarus. And honestly, they're kind of giving him the hands. Like they give Icarus. I was worried when he makes the heel turn. I was like, oh no, nobody can stand against it. But no, Fastos and Makari could have done it.
Yeah.
So, and by the way, Kingo nowhere to be seen. Kingo was just like, man, you both make some good points. See you in the next movie.
Yeah. All right, see you guys.
I didn't realize that till like someone pointed out. He just leaves.
Yeah, he just dips. He's like, I'm gonna go back to Bollywood. It's just
So Makari is turning the big Eternal into marble, and Icarus lands in front of her, and you think it's going to be a moment where she's like, I am so much stronger than I thought that I was, you can't stop me, and then turn him to stone, right? Like, that's what I thought. That's what I was expecting for, like, the big ending of, like, letting go of this man who maybe you loved him at one point, but now he's, trying to end the world. And it would be such a good ending for her to be like, I have become stronger than like needing that. But no, we save the world because Icarus decides we're allowed to save the world. He decides it's fine. He's fine. We can live as a treat. And then he flies into the sun. he just flies into the sun, and like the theater that I was in laughed. Personally.
That's funny.
When he just flew into the sun, like, we didn't understand why. It made no sense. It was earlier in the movie they called out the whole Icarus flies too close to the sun. Sprite made that story up. Like, they did it already. They did the reference. Did they need a second reference? Were they bookending? Was it rule of two? Like, he just flies into the fucking sun for no reason. Oh man, I had to try so hard to maintain a reasonable volume when that happened. I was just like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that definitely had like big energy of like the guy getting chopped up in a propeller by the Titanic, where like you can't help but laugh at it, even though it's supposed to be like a very serious moment. Like, how dare you? But like,
it just made no sense. Why would he fly into the sun?
Yeah, it's just like, oh, like I tried to kill my friends, and like now they stopped my only, the only thing I knew about my life. Guess I'll die.
What a drama queen, by the way. Well, you guys don't want to play my game? I'm going home.
Yeah, to the sun. Nobody in my theater laughed, and I'm just like, should I laugh right now? Like, it was so crazy. And the other biggest problem I had throughout the course of this movie is that nobody seems to care that these things are happening except the Eternals. Like
they tell people and nobody cares.
Yeah, so like a big thing that happens in this movie is that, and even Dane Whitman, Kit Harington's character, brings this up very early in the movie. It's like, how come you guys didn't help with like Thanos and like all that stuff? And they're like, well, the Eternals aren't supposed to engage in like they're not supposed to interfere with human conflict, I think is what the reasoning was. So like any sort of development of human man, like you're not supposed to like interfere with any sort of I guess predetermined things that are supposed to happen. So it's like Thanos was supposed to happen, and then it ends up happening. So it's like, okay, but like it's just one of those things where like I'm watching these things like attack, and like you're watching this thing literally rise out of the fucking water, and I'm just like, where are the Avengers? Like, there's no people left. Why is nobody showing up to this thing?
I have hit that point as well. I think that's why the scene took place in London, because there's no other city where they could have been like, this is a city people know, and there's no Avengers here. But I've also hit that point finally in the MCU where I'm finally having a hard time believing that something can go down and nobody else shows up. Somebody pointed that out in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, like, where's Peter Parker? We're in New York. Where's he at?
Yeah.
And I was able to excuse it then, but I think I've hit the point of just like, this seems like a big deal. Like, where?
Yeah. Like, if you watch any other action movie where like a big natural event is happening, everybody and their mom is there. Like,
Doctor Strange has to notice.
Yeah. Unless the scene that plays in my head every time something like that happens is the scene from Far From Home, where like Peter's just like running off a list of Avengers that could do this instead of him, and Nick Fury just happens to have an excuse for all of them. It's just like, oh yeah, Captain Marvel off planet, Thor off planet, Doctor Strange occupied. Like it's like everybody's just out to fucking lunch when this shit's happening. So it's like that was like I'm willing to like what's the phrase I'm looking for? I'm willing to like, let
suspend
my mind
disbelief.
Yes, suspend my disbelief for like a few things, but it's just like in this age where literally everybody and their mom's a fucking superhero. Like you're not, especially it's a cosmic threat. What's Captain Marvel doing? She can't be that busy. I'm sorry.
Agree.
But, I digress. There's just so much of this movie that feels like it's a lot of exposition, and I don't think exposition is necessarily a bad thing. It's just that like so much of this movie is just explains, and then you get into like the flashbacks, which becomes a little bit hard to follow.
Yeah,
and
the non-linear storytelling.
Yeah, and also we've got to disclose what a fact that like Fastos helped develop the atomic bomb. Like
that was, oh my god! So I found out about that super early on, and so I've been making jokes about that with my friends like up until I went to see the movie. I was like, diversity win. The gays can bomb Hiroshima too. Like it's very much like, yeah, the next person to drop bombs in the Middle East will be a woman general. Like it's we were making that joke of like diversity win.
I'm just like there's so much this very strange like plot points in here. So it's like, I hope I was on the Manhattan Project. I'm just gonna quit now. It's just like, damn, that was dark.
I think they did the dialogue pretty well, where they were like, it was my technology that led them to be able to discover this. Like, I think they avoided saying Fastos himself told them how to split the atom.
Yeah,
but Fastos felt guilt because he was like,
my technology helped them like advance further towards this.
If I never gave them the wheel, they wouldn't have done this. Like,
if I never gave them the plow.
Yeah, the plow.
the plow.
So
it plows
frustrated.
dirt. It was so funny. Fuck it, plow. I thought that was very funny. But again, Fastos busted in that final fight against Icarus. Like he was smoking him. I was just like, oh man,
the sucker for a
I was like the technology guy versus literal Superman. Haven't we seen this movie before? We know what happens. But he's like, nah, watch this. He's making fucking like restraints and stuff. I'm just like, is there a safe word he should be using? Like, my God, like,
he's got the big yo-yos. Like,
yeah.
he was so cool. I'm such a sucker for just like a tech hero with an army of little transforming drones that do whatever he wants. Like, that's my shit. I love that.
Yeah. Is there any other points in like the main movie you want to touch on? Like,
let me look at my notes real quick. I got Crow sucks. I got the weird she's not a loli, she's 7,000 vibes.
Yes.
The ending was bad. What else do I got? Got the gay kiss, which was great. We need more of those. Every normal human that they told about the end of the world was just like, wow, that sucks.
Yeah, right.
They told Fastos, I'm pretty sure they told Fastos' husband, hey man, world's gonna end. And he was just like,
okay.
Our son, make sure he gets to bed on time and then come back and be with your son. Like, there was never a concern. What else do we got here? This should be the Disney Plus series. Kingo just fucking leaving. And then last thing. We know what a celestial is now. So what's the deal with Ego? What's the deal with Ego?
Okay, so this is a good point. I wanted to bring this up too. So this movie, this isn't the first time we see celestials in the MCU. They are set up in Guardians of the Galaxy. You know, we see them as the first beings on the planet or something, I guess is what they're set up as. They're like these beings that existed, you know, that create universes and galaxies. And, you know, we spend a lot of time with Arashim, the Celestial, in this film. And then, you know, you kind of have to go through the motions. It's just like, okay, so like, I guess that means Ego was also a Celestial. I think that's what you have to go with. And then you start having to go through, you know, we'll get to the post-credit scenes in a bit. This movie kind of retcons that Thanos is also an Eternal.
That's in the comics. That's a comics thing. So Thanos in the comics is an Eternal with a deviant gene, which is not the same as being a deviant. I don't know why, but it's not the same.
Because comic books, fuck you.
Yeah.
It's strange, yeah. So, like, I think a lot of this movie's... It's one of these things, my enjoyment of this movie is going to really hinge on what this all means in, like, 3 years when it's all set up. Because by this point, we're 3 movies back into the MCU. I'm not even counting Black Widow, because that wasn't going to set anything up.
Yeah, it was filler.
Yeah, it was. Well, it sets up a TV show. Merry Christmas, Hawkeye. But, you know, Shang-Chi and the Eternals don't really tell you what the bigger picture is. I guess you might have a better idea of like, oh, maybe the Eternals know what the 10 rings are, because obviously in the Shang-Chi post-credit scene, you learn about a beacon that's happening in the rings. There's no record. Nobody knows what the rings are made of or like how long they have been existed on Earth. So there's still like a lot of mystery there. So whatever beacon is being set off or like whatever ends up happening in the future is going to be very cosmic. So we don't really know where this is all going to land in a few movies, but we have an idea. And this is now, I guess, a good time to go into the post-credit scenes and kind of talk about what happens here.
I think so.
Yeah, so we'll talk. So I guess if you made it this far, enjoy the spoilers of the movie. We will now be spoiling the 2 post-credit scenes in this film. So I gotta say, I have to mention this every time I review a Marvel movie. If you're someone that leaves before the credits over, what are you like? At this point, you're just being a hipster. You're just being. They have us
trained. Nobody in my theater left. They have us trained.
Okay, because I was going to mention that. Nobody left my theater before the credits finished. But when I saw Shang-Chi, people were leaving when the lights...
Yeah, that did happen.
It's like, what, did they think they're just going to stop? Like,
I think it's because Shang-Chi, which was amazing, by the way. Like,
that movie was fantastic.
That's like in my top 5 now for Marvel.
It's in my top 10 for sure. I have to go through I'm going to do a tier list at some point.
I think that's because that movie looked really good to people who might just want to see a kung fu movie. And Eternals, I think you only went to Eternals if you like Marvel, which is a lot of people valid. Still.
Yeah, no, that's valid. I think what makes this, what separates those 2 movies is exactly what you said. Shang-Chi on its own stands alone as like a great sub-genre superhero movie, or it's a great martial arts film, which it was. Yeah. It was absolutely phenomenal. It was a ravaging good time. Simu Liu is hot, and he's great. He's a handsome boy.
It's true.
But and so that movie was great. And again, like you said, I think you only watch this movie if you're like deep into trenches with Marvel. You're like, you have to watch everything to understand what's going on.
So you know not to get up. You know not to leave before the post-credit scene.
Yeah. So shout out to everyone in my theater that didn't move. You all are great. But
the real ones.
We get 2 post-credit scenes in this movie where, so I guess we can kind of talk about the end of the actual end, the epilogue of the film.
Right. Okay.
Where, so I guess half the Eternals are leaving to go find other Eternals to like set them free using the Unimind.
Yeah.
Being Thena, Druig, Makari, and I believe that's it.
Did Phastos go into space? No, he stayed with his family.
Phastos, Kingo, Sprite, and Cersei stay on Earth. Cersei's last gift to Sprite is that she takes away her immortality and makes her human, so that way she can grow up, I guess. Good for her.
Which I feel like that was hasty. Because they confirmed that, like, the Eternals are not organic. They're machines. And, like, we got a lot of dudes who are really good with those. So, I don't know. You want a new chassis? They could probably make you a new chassis. I don't know.
That's going to get weird real quick. So, they continue to stay on Earth where Druig, Makari, and Thena go off into space, into the big cube thing.
Yeah.
To find other Eternals, what's the word I'm looking for? Free them. Yeah, there we go. Let's
Yeah.
go with that. Free them from the bind of the Celestial to where they don't have to do this. You get, and then as Dane and Cersei are talking about their relationship. Dane's about to drop a knowledge bomb. It's like, my family history is kind of mixed too. And then the Arishem just kind of watchers himself onto the plane. It's just like,
he
you
comes
guys
up with the show me what you got.
Yeah. Yes, it's so funny. Oh my god! But yeah, he's just like, oh yeah, like you guys. I forget what the exact line was. He was just like, oh, like you guys
sacrificed as the life of a celestial for something.
Yeah, for the lives of humans. So I will now review on your 7,000 years of history on whether this is a good move or not, and I will return as judge. So he kidnaps the 4 of them, takes them into space, and then still at that point, not a single Avenger. Just saying. Well,
wouldn't it be great to have a lawyer Avenger to talk to the judge Celestial? Wouldn't it be great?
Dare I say 2? I'm just saying, maybe 2 lawyers. Get 2 lawyers.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's some out there. But yeah, so credits roll. Dane Whitman's just like, what the fuck just happened? My girlfriend got kidnapped. And also, Dane's really cool with the fact that his girlfriend's just like 7,000-year-old lady.
I mean, would you not be?
History. This is true. This is facts. Shut up. I love Kit Harington so much. But yeah, so in the first post-credit scene, you see Athena, Makari, and Druig on the ship. You start to notice a weird presence on the ship. They mention how they haven't heard from the other Eternals in a couple of weeks. And enters Pip the Troll, played by none other than Patton Oswalt.
I was popping off when I realized it was Pip the Troll and how dumb of an inclusion that is. And when it was Patton Oswalt, I was like, oh my god, they couldn't have picked a better voice. They could not have picked a better voice.
Man who's been in Marvel everything, Patton Oswalt, now officially canon as Pip the Troll. So then Pip the Troll does this great dramatic introduction for the killer of Black Roger, brother of Thanos, the Eternal of the planet Titan. Mr. Watermelon Sugar himself, Harry Styles, shows up as Star Fox, a.k.a. Eros. One of the worst superheroes, in my opinion, in Marvel Comics.
I agree. How are they going to sanitize this guy? So, number one, I didn't really know who Harry Styles was until this happened. So now they got me. I didn't know. I don't really follow a lot of like big pop music, pop culture stuff goes right over my head because I don't drive anymore, so I don't listen to the radio anymore.
Yeah, that's valid.
So he shows up and I'm just like, oh, it's Star Fox, let's go. And my friend who I'm with is like, that's Harry Styles, and I'm like, the Tumblr guy?
Yeah, I saw it was Star Fox. I'm just like, oh my god, they're going this route. I mean, again, it was kind of inevitable. So, but
he's the right guy to go with, though. I think he's a good cast for that.
Yes, because, and again, we'll talk about it in a bit. But obviously the Eros makes references like, oh, like y'all, your friends have been kidnapped by an Eternals by a Celestial, and we got to go get them back. And then Q Foreigner as the credits roll once again, which is. Feels like the first time.
Which to me personally, I've been conditioned in the MCU where when I hear something like that, I think Guardians.
Yes, I agree. When I hear classic rock of any sort of era, I'm just like, oh, this is going to come back in another movie, I'm sure of it. Which again, it makes sense. So
yeah, I think that's the logical thing. Where they talked about we're going to get cosmic in the Marvel Universe now, and I think that we have our foot in the door with the Guardians. I don't know. I think the next time I personally expect to see the Eternals is maybe Guardians 3. I think we could see him.
I think that makes sense. Yeah, that makes considering that a lot of the story elements in this film have also only been talked about in Guardians. It's a great launching off. It's a great merging point. It's a great way to kind of integrate them back into the story. But yeah, so if you're not familiar with who Eros is, aka Star Fox, he is the brother of Thanos, and he has the power of horny. That's the best way I can describe it. He do be having the power of horny. Basically, I believe his exact superpower is that he is able to attack the gene that attack the nerve
pleasure
that
center.
Yeah, that produces pheromones. He's an incredibly controversial comic book character. There's a comic in 2005 where Eros makes a woman fall in love with him. I believe they sleep together, and then she's just like, hey, that was not consensual. I'm not cool with that. And then it leads to the other Avengers being like, yeah, dude, that's not fucking cool.
And there's a lawsuit, and She-Hulk has to represent him.
And then you find out that she's being played by him.
Yep, it's a whole thing.
It's fucked up. Now, granted, doubts are going to go that way. because there's been other because like I look at it this way. Hank Pym beat his wife in the comic books.
Yeah,
and they don't touch and they fixed him. So I mean, I think
fully confident that MCU Arrows, MCU Star Fox is just going to be a groovy pansexual space slut, and I'm so here for it. Like, I think he's going to get all of the alien tail that Star-Lord pretends he's getting.
I agree. Listen, and Harry Styles was probably so excited to flirt with Angelina Jolie.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
He was probably he was dying in his pants. And again, I think that's a great pick. Harry Styles is sex appeal. He's in right now. He's someone that women love. Women love him, fish fear him. That whole that whole jive. And I think. I hope they call him Star Fox still. I just think that's really fucking funny.
I think they did. I think they called him. Did they call him Star Fox?
They call him both. They call him Eros, aka Star Fox. I just hope they keep calling him Star Fox. That's funny because it's just it's a Nintendo. It's so Nintendo. Why would they do
cannot be happy.
They cannot be. Well, they'll be fine. But yeah. So that's that credit scene. And then we get to the more interesting one in the second scene.
Yes, I agree.
So you go through the credits again, and then in pops again Dane Whitman, who, like we mentioned, before Cersei got captured, was about to go into the history of his family. You see him standing before this box with the crest on it, and he's kind of waffling back and forth what to do with it. He eventually opens the box to expose the ebony blade, which is one of the most powerful weapons in Marvel Comics. Dane kind of waffles back and forth on whether he's going to pick up the sword or not. And then comes a voice off screen to question him if he's ready to do that, Mr. Whitman. That voice is none other than Mr. Mahershala Ali, thus officially introducing Blade into the MCU. So what were your thoughts of this second scene?
I had no idea that it was Blade in the background. I had no idea. So I went home and that was the first thing I looked up. I was like, who? And then I found that out and that was hype. I am excited. I like the Black Knight. I'm a sucker for swords and medieval shit. So I like the Black Knight. There was some part of me that was like, is that the ebony blade that the God Butcher uses? Is that the one that ties to the symbiotes? Is this going to be a Thor setup? Mm-hmm. But I think coming out of it, I'm like, no, because if Blade's here, it's probably just that it's a very spooky sword. It's probably just a very, very spooky sword. And he needs Blade to help him out with it.
Yeah, I think that's the way I'm going to. I think what they call the Necro Blade or whatever it is.
The Necro Sword is the one I'm thinking of, but this is the Ebony Blade.
Yeah, and then we are getting Gore the God Butcher at some point as well, played by Christian Bale, by the way. I don't know if you knew that or not. Yeah,
I did. I didn't know it was Christian Bale, but ooh.
Yeah, that's gonna be all filled with Batman and grizzled voice. But I'm excited for that. Yeah, listen, the Black Knight is definitely a lot of my friends are just like, I don't know who this guy is. There's a comic book shop by my house when I was younger, and one of the first comics I ever picked up by accident was a Black Knight comic book, and it was dope. I think Dane Whitman he's the most popular of the Black Knights. Obviously, I think his ancestor is a descendant of Arthur.
Yeah,
and I love it because you forget that the MCU does somewhat cross over into real history. Captain America punched Nazis.
Yeah.
And all that stuff. Tony Stark was dealing weaponry to, during the, Iraqi war and stuff like that. So it makes perfect sense to Avengers, they fought with fucking Merlin and shit. I think that's awesome. I love it that when Marvel gets into the weird medieval stuff, because I think that's the point where we're at now. We're just going to get weird with shit. So
yeah, I mean, I'm excited for it too. I think so a thing that I know about the Ebony Blade is it whispers to the wielder and it becomes more powerful the more blood it soaks up or something, and so it drives its wielders mad, which is probably what Blade is here to kind of mitigate. But Dane was such a nice, normal, it's just Dane. I can't imagine Dane, Murder Dane, picks up the sword and he just unlocks the generational trauma of this sword.
Yeah, right? It's he's so nice. Honestly, and I didn't know where they were going with Kit Harington, because I'm just because there was rumors going around for a while. I don't know how true this actually was, but back when they were going through Marvel's buying the rights back to all the Fox stuff from 20th Century, the X-Men are going to be coming to the MCU at some point. I saw an article that might have linked Dane Whitman to being Wolverine, or Kit Harington to Wolverine. I'm just he'd be perfect for that. Again, Hugh Jackman, pristine. I'm not going to try to take anything away from Hugh Jackman. Kit Harington would wear the yellow spandex.
Yeah,
And I
I
would be
agree.
on board with that. And I think that would have been a perfect choice as well if they decided to go that route. Instead, they didn't. And I'm just like, you're not going to cast Jon Snow to just have him be a fucking normie. He's going to be important in some way.
He's
And
getting the Ebony Blade.
yeah, and then I saw that, and they kind of set up to that throughout the movie because number one, you see when they're calling him Dan, I'm just like, and then Cersei gives him the ring with the family crest. I'm just like, that looks familiar. And then you see them FaceTime each other in the Amazon. I saw his last name is Whitman. I'm just like, are they going there? Like, is that something that they're doing? And then they even mention the Ebony Blade by name when they're on the ship. We're just like, oh, is this the Ebony? Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, Arthur had such a big crush on me. They talk about the Ebony Blade, like,
but it was a fake. It turned out to be a fake, like because there's no way that Thena had that, and then it showed up in Dane's house later, unless Thena like gave it to him, which is maybe a thing. But I feel like that was his bloodline curse. Like that was his Sharingan locked in the attic for years.
Yes, it's so funny, but yeah, so that's going to be a setup at some point. And again, I do think it's a fun way to introduce Mahershala Ali. I think people forget that Blade is coming at some point. I believe it's scheduled for either like a late 2022 release or maybe like an early like 2023 release. I'm not sure. I don't remember exactly what it's supposed to be coming out, but I think it makes a lot of sense. I think we mentioned how the MCU is probably going cosmic. There is one way, another way I can see this going. They're setting up a lot of team stuff right now. With the shows, you see a lot of seeds for the Young Avengers. Mm-hmm. You don't know what's going to happen in the films just yet, whether they're going, what teams they're going to be building for. But I forget. Yeah, the Thunderbolts is something that you could potentially see. But there's also the possibility of the Midnight Suns. Which is a combination of Blade, the Black Knight, I believe. I think Moon Knight's also involved in that, as well as Ghost Rider. So I mean,
are we gonna get Ghost Rider?
Yeah, listen, if we can get all like the spoopy supernatural guys to team up with each other, I think that'd be dope. So I think they're gonna try to go for smaller factions of people to eventually have them all, converge in like 6 years to fight. I don't know, the smoke monster from the Fantastic Four movie. That
the smoke monster from Lost. They buy the rights.
Yeah, exactly. But I think this is fun. Also, I don't. A lot of people might not know this, but Blade, the character in the comics, is actually from London. So it was kind of cool to have him, show up in Europe. I think it's just because Wesley Snipes' take on the character is so popular, they just made him American. Yeah. So I thought that was cool. So if we get to see more Kit Harington in the Blade movie, I think that'd be cool to watch him just slash vampires and kill shit together. Like,
I'd be into it.
I'm very on board with that. I think that's going to be fun. So, this is going to be one of those things where you're not really going to know how to feel about this film moving forward until you get to, inevitably what is, the big, I guess medium plane of the Avengers crossover. But until then, these post-credit scenes set up some cool shit. So, like I don't know when we're going to see Blade anytime soon. I believe it is. Let me see when it's supposed to come out, if they have a date for it. Filming is expected to begin in July 2022 for Blade. So
filming in July 22. Wow.
Yeah, so we're probably not going to see that movie until either Christmas of next year or like early 2023, which makes a lot of sense. I think
23 probably.
Yeah, but listen, that was the Eternals. So again, real dense movie, Oof. A lot of stuff to chew on.
Then my last question for you, Mr. Koopa, is with any MCU movie, it always is, when you rewatch the MCU, as we all do, how do you feel going into the rewatch of this movie? Because I'll tell you right now, for me, this is down to the Thor 2 tier of like, oh, I have to rewatch this. Like,
yeah. So my hot take is I'm kind of a Thor 2 apologist. Like,
oh no!
Because here's the thing: that movie becomes important at some point. Unfortunately, that movie becomes incredibly crucial. And don't get me, I hated that. Because when I'm watching Endgame in theaters, and they're doing the whole plan to try to get everything together, and there's like, oh yeah, we're gonna go to Asgard in 2011, and they show the splash prompt. I'm just like, God damn it! Like, here of all places, like, you gotta be fucking kidding me, man. So I don't think that movie is it's not a good movie. I don't think it's garbage tier. And I don't know. I have some weird takes on some of the bad MCU movies.
Right.
I'm not gonna go out of my way to watch Iron Man 2 or The Incredible Hulk ever again. Probably.
Those are also in that tier of I have to watch this again.
I would but I think Guardians 2 is a fine movie. I don't hate that movie like everyone else does.
I love Guardians 2. Guardians 2 is my favorite MCU movie. I didn't know anybody hated it.
Really? Yeah, no, I don't. A lot of people kind of hold that one in like some negative light, but I like it a lot.
That's my number one MCU movie. I mean, it's because I got daddy issues, but like it's good.
But yeah, in regards to my rewatch, it's not gonna be one I'm gonna like look forward to watching. Like it's one of those ones where I'm like, all right, let me see big picture wise where this fits, and if I can skip it, I'll skip it. So It's like when I was going through my rewatch with my girlfriend, she was like, oh, do we have to watch Iron Man 2 now? And I'm like, no. And she's like, and I'm just like, she was like, what's the cliff notes? I'm just like, you get introduced to Black Widow, and Terrence Howard becomes Don Cheadle. That's it.
I wonder, like, if they're gonna do some shit with that with the multiverse now.
Oh, you can get Terrence Howard back in the MCU. Oh my god, that would be crazy. That'd
Alternate
be funny.
universe War Machine comes in and it's Terrence Howard.
Yo, that'd be nuts. But yeah, listen, it's going to be less than a month from this recording, but Spider-Man Far From Home does hit the theaters. So I think after that movie, we'll get a better idea of what's going to happen. Yeah. And then we got a bit of a break. I kind of forgot that they changed the release schedule. So the next film we get after Spider-Man I think it's still Doctor Strange, but we get it in May instead of March.
Yeah, we go all the way to summer, but we have Disney Plus to keep us company. We have Hawkeye, and then I don't know.
They really it's funny because initially they were like, oh yeah, we're going to release Hawkeye and Miss Marvel in 2021. And I'm just like, y'all are fucking crazy. Like there's not enough time for that. So no. I think we're going to get Hawkeye. Let me actually look this up while I have it in front of me. So, so Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness comes out in May 2022, followed by Thor: Love and Thunder in July, and then Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, knock on wood if that movie ever comes out, in 2020 in November 2022 as well. But it's gonna get weird. So let me see if I can look up the TV schedules. WandaVision, not WandaVision. There we go. Yeah, so we're gonna go to here. And then this is great podcasting stuff. So Marvel television series. It's like I don't know. It's gonna get weird. So okay, so we get Hawkeye and then everything else is set for like 2022. So it might be Moon Knight, it might be She-Hulk. Secret Invasion is scheduled to happen at some point. I think we're gonna get some combination of Moon Knight and She-Hulk first. Those shows are in post-production right now. Secret Invasion is filming currently. Miss Marvel's in post-production, so I'll probably get that at some point as well to set up for the movie happening in 2023, which is, I think, the first film we get of that calendar year. Then we're going to get stuff like the Guardians holiday special next year, Ironheart and Armor Wars, and, whatever stuff they decide to introduce in between. Because, there's going to be like another untitled, Marvel film somewhere thrown in the middle of that.
Of course.
But and also things like Loki season 2 and What If season 2. They
are doing Loki season
and Marvel Zombies. So like, there's a lot of stuff that's going to happen here. Not to mention Ant-Man's still coming out at some point. I think that's coming out. I think that's 2023 if I remember correctly.
I'm an Ant-Man apologist. I love that man. He is Ant.
I love Ant-Man. That's in my top 5. That's one of my other hotter takes. Like the first Ant-Man film it's a great heist film. I think it's fucking hilarious.
I love seeing Scott Lang be a good dad and also do cool stuff with his shrinking powers. I'm into it.
Yeah, but that kind of wraps up our thoughts of the Eternals and in the MCU as a whole. Again, listen, I'm a Marvel apologist. I'm very excited for how things are going to be going here, and I'm just going to wait patiently for Spider-Man to come out because I think I have to go back and rewatch all like the other films. As much as I don't want to watch Amazing Spider-Man 2 or Spider-Man 3. I have to.
I've been watching the Raimi trilogy. If you want hot takes about the Raimi trilogy, oh boy, do I have them.
I'll definitely. I will have you on my my Spider-Man rewatch. Where can I rewatch these movies? Do I have to like buy them or something?
I've been doing them on Google Play. You can rent them for like $4 each, which is like it's money, but it's like it's what I'd pay at the video store.
Anything for the pizza dance one more time.
Oh yeah.
But listen, Haley, thank you so much for going on this journey with me.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, anytime. You're more than welcome to come back anytime on my friends are always welcome back on the show. So where can the people on the internet find you? Give us a plug.
You can find me on the internet at Kara Bowdit on Twitter. It's KaraBowdit. I think that's just about it. Like I don't do anything. My Twitch handle's the exact same. I tweet out when I stream. When the band does its release, you bet it'll be there.
I'm here for it. But as always, you guys can catch me on the internet at Koopa NJ, like New Jersey, across platforms. I do esports stuff and streaming stuff, as often as I can. I got some stuff coming up that I can't talk about yet, but just stay tuned on the social medias, okay? Because your boy's got some stuff happening in the pipeline. But
There's secret sauce coming in.
Oh yeah, I'm saucing real hard right now. And again, if you guys want to follow the show, we're a Koop'd Pod across platforms. Check us out on Twitter, and I'll get us on other social media at some point. And we're also where you listen to all your get your podcasts: Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. Wherever you get your podcasts, we are there, as well as on YouTube. So until then, folks, everyone have yourselves a wonderful evening. Take care, and we'll see you on the next episode.